What's happening? How are you doing today? Happy Sunday as I record this episode right now. This is Chris, and as you know, Podtastic Audio is no more. But don't you worry. Don't you worry, little pretty head, because I have got something quite amazing down the pipeline happening right now. And I'm here today to tell you all about it. And hopefully, you can join me right on over there. So, to address the elephant in the room, yes, Christine and I are divorced. Yes, Christine and I are separated, and she has moved out of the house, and we are going our separate ways. And because of those things, I kind of had to put the podcast on hold. And I thought at that point, it'd probably be a really good spot to kind of shut down the podcast, because although I love podcasting, don't get me wrong, I love talking about podcasting. I love the creation process, the podcasting process. I love producing podcasts. I love editing stuff. I love playing with audio. I love all of these things. It just got to the point where I couldn't juggle multiple things while I was trying to manage my personal life and the divorce and selling the house and all those other things that's happening right now. But when it came back to Podtastic Audio here, is that I kind of started feeling like Podtastic Audio for me, that it basically was branched or born out of the Chris and Christine Show podcast. And so every time I think of the Chris and Christine Show podcast, how can I not think of Christine and think of our past relationship, which is totally dead now? Our relationship is over. We are no longer anything. So that being said, having a podcast like Podtastic Audio kind of being built on the Chris and Christine Show podcast, it kind of made me feel a little weird doing Podtastic Audio, especially towards the end. And if you've ever gone through a divorce or a breakup of any kind, at some point you just kind of like don't want anything really to do with your ex, if possible. I know if you have kids with them or something like that, they're kind of, you got to do what you got to do. But I think that with Christine and I, we didn't have anything really together other than the podcast, really. We didn't have any kids together or anything like that. So the Chris and Christine Show podcast was kind of like our thing. It was our thing. We did. I didn't do the podcast with anybody else. It was our show. And when we did the show, we butted heads a lot, but that's happens with relationships. But I could tell early on that there were some signs that things were probably not going to go very well throughout the relationship, because with the podcast, the Chris and Christine Show, it was very grounded. It was very neutral. It was very basic. There were times when we were talking on the podcast, at least I was talking on the podcast, and she would like shut it down and tell me to stop recording. And her mood flipped on a dime. And it went from happy talking, and I might have said a comment, or I might have said something that she thought was inappropriate, was probably pretty vanilla. And it totally flipped her mood. And I had to navigate that every single episode. And so, not to say creating the podcast wasn't fun. There were fun moments. It's just that I felt like I was walking on eggshells when I was trying to create a show with her. In other words, I never really created the show that I wanted to create in the first place. The type of show I really wanted, it kind of evolved. It was a balance of what I heard on the radio, what other people were doing on the radio, a balance of that, and a balance of what made Christine not get angry or make her happy, or something that she would go along with actually recording. So it was a balance of those kind of things. And towards the end, well, Christine didn't seem to like doing the podcast as much. So, that kind of happened. And here we are today, no longer together. But that being said, doing Podtastic Audio, a show that was basically based off of that show, started getting harder and harder for me to create it towards the end, knowing we are getting divorced, knowing we are separated, knowing things aren't going very well. And at the same time, Podtastic Audio was basically like a behind the scenes show to that show. So So here I am doing Podtastic Audio, talking about podcasting from our perspective, from our show's perspective, doing the Chris Christine show, what that was like. And now looking back, I'm like, ugh, I don't even know if I want to even do this anymore because it's tied to the other show. And of course, the fact that I got to move, sell this house, and all the other things that get involved with, life stuff, having to work, manage kids, sell the house, find a new place to live, figure this stuff out. Is this house even going to sell? I don't even know if it's going to sell or not. It hasn't been the best of times for selling a house, at least here in San Diego. So there's that. But that has not stopped me from thinking about creating a new show in the future, which brings us here today. Because over the last few weeks, maybe month or whatever it's been, I've been working and designing a brand new show. And before I tell you what it is, I'm going to let you know that if you've known me at any length of time, if you've known me before I started my podcast, if you've known me before way back when, you would know that I have been heavily interested, heavily involved with automobiles, cars, dune buggies, motorcycles, quads, ATVs, trucks of all kinds, all sizes, monster trucks, off-road, NASCAR races, F1, sports cars, all kinds of things. In fact, every vehicle I've owned has been something really, really cool, and I've picked it out for a reason. I've gone to the desert, and I've shot lots of video of me running my quad ATV out in the desert, in the dunes, in the trails. I've done that years ago. I'm talking going back probably by someone's just born, so maybe 2010, 2011, 2013, sometime around then. I was shooting those videos. Of course, I bought my first quad like 2005. And I was had my first sports car in like 2000. And if you looked at my other personal YouTube channel, you would see car videos that I posted myself going way back to like 2006, 2008 range. You would see videos that I posted driving. You would see lots of other car stuff. You would see car videos of me driving. You would see lots of those kind of videos back then. In fact, if you looked at that channel, and you can see all my favorite like subscriptions, like shows I subscribe to, like 90% of them are like car related YouTube channels. And way before I started the podcast, I dabbled with shooting some video on my old sports car I had. And I was thinking back then of starting a YouTube channel about my car back then before I started the podcast. So when it comes to creating a podcast, any podcast of any kind, you really have to be super excited about the content. You have to be really excited about the thing you're talking about to create your show in the first place. I know a lot of shows just mimic what other shows do, or perhaps maybe do like a generic, boring interview style show because, hey, that's what everybody else is doing. And I get it. I understand. But for me to create something that's going to bring me a lot of joy, I need to go back to what brought me joy in the first place. And that's car content and car related stuff. So today I'm going to tell you the name of my new project, and that is called Cool Cars with Chris, CCC. So as you can imagine, as the title describes, it's Cool Cars with Chris. I'm your host. I'm going to bring you cool cars. And you're probably thinking, that sounds kind of cool. How are you going to do this, Chris? Because, audio podcasting is kind of cool. Are you sticking with audio podcasting or are you going to do video podcasting? How are you actually going to do this? Well, you know and I know that everybody's talking about video in podcasting. It's like all you ever hear about is video podcasting is a must. Everybody must do video podcasting because you can do the video, like record the video, and then you can like strip out the audio and make that the audio podcast, which is what I see a lot of content creators do. They will make a video first show, strip the audio, slap it on a podcast, and then as a listener to the podcast, I can't really experience everything they're talking about because a lot of the times they're showing things on the screen. Look at this, look at that thing, look at this thing, look at this, look at that. And I'm here listening to it. I'm realizing, oh, yeah, this is supposed to be a video show first and a podcast afterthought. But I don't want to do that to you. I don't want to do that to anybody because I know what that's like as a listener to be left out when I'm listening to something and they're describing something or showing something on the screen and I can't see it because I'm listening. That really sucks. But I do know video is very powerful. And I do know that YouTube is a big juggernaut when it comes to video content. So I know all those things. So, yes, I'm going to be doing video for this show, but it's not like your typical podcast. What I mean by that is this. My new show, Cool Cars with Chris, is going to be a car show, an interview show, and a ride along where the entire thing is filmed in 4K cinema. Which, when it comes to showing video on a video screen of some kind, whether it's a podcast or anything, actually showing video, like video stuff, more than just a talking head and some B-roll. I'm talking actual real footage of me talking to real people. Think of it like an interview show, like in person, like in their car, in a real location here locally in San Diego. That's the premise of the show. But wait, there's more. Just so I don't leave out any audio podcast listeners out of the loop, I'm going to make something special for you. So, as a long form podcast that's going to go in addition to the actual YouTube video, there's going to be Cool Cars with Chris podcast. So, I'm launching a YouTube channel with actual real video, talking to real people live out in the wild, out of the chair, out of the office, that kind of video. And in addition to that, I'm going to do an audio companion podcast that's going to be designed for audio listeners only. There's not going to be any, oh, look at that thing. Oh, look at this thing. Oh, that looks so cool. Or this kind of stuff you can't see. That stuff is going to be in the video. The video is going to be stuff you're physically going to be able to see. And the audio podcast is going to be stuff that you won't need to see. And when you launch any new podcast or big YouTube channel or anything like that, for the most part, you have to design things strategically. And being that I've been in the podcasting space for so long, the podcast marketing space for so long, I know how to navigate social media. I know how to promote things on social media. I'm thinking more like a creator when I go online. I'm thinking like a creator when I create stuff versus like a consumer of things. Because the general population, when they scroll, TikTok or social media or any of those things, when they're just scrolling through, they may share things with their friends and family. They may post things and things like that. But there's no actual real intent when they post these things other than, let me share it with my family and friends. Maybe they'll like it. Maybe somebody else will like it, things like that. But now that I've been through all of this stuff as a creator, that I know now that I did not know way back then when I was shooting stuff for YouTube way back in the day. So I know how things work today, being in podcasting and being in marketing of my podcast, my clients' podcast, and things like that. So that's going to definitely help me out. But like I said, I got to start things and build this thing out. And I'm kind of working on things one step at a time. So far, I've got the Gmail set up. I've got the YouTube channel set up because that's free and easy. And then I got the Instagram page set up. And hey, speaking of Instagram, holy crap, Instagram has been a total gold mine to find guests with cool cars. Holy crap. The car community on Instagram, at least here just in San Diego, but I'm sure worldwide, is massive. Like anybody with a car, like anybody at all that has a cool car is posting pictures of their cool car on Instagram. It's all right there. And you're probably thinking, Chris, what defines a cool car? What does it mean to have a cool car? Well, if you don't know you have a cool car, then you don't have a cool car. That's pretty much all there is to it. But speaking of Instagram, since I've started Instagram literally a week ago, I kid you not, it's been about 1 week. I've had one video I posted go completely viral bonkers. And it's gone to like, I think last I checked today, maybe it's been 3 days since I posted it. I kid you not, 3 days since I posted that video. I'm up to somewhere in the ballpark of 700 or 800,000 views on this video with thousands of reposts and hundreds of comments and so on and so forth. Yeah, this could be a massive show, but I'm not counting my chickens before they're hatched. I'm going to take this nice and easy, slow and steady, like any other show I've ever done. I need to build it all out, get the application form set up, get the waiver form set up, get all the gear ready and tested, get all that stuff figured out before I can even create content. But I do have people lined up to come on the show and show me their cars already. And I haven't even started recording anything yet. So the things I need to work on other than the gear and figuring out all the technical stuff and the editing and all that kind of stuff, figuring the video side out, aside from that, I got to build a website still, get a domain name still. I know you're probably saying, Chris, how come you don't have a domain name yet? Well, I'm still working on it. It's one step at a time. And then I also got to figure out a podcast media host because I haven't decided where I'm going to park this podcast in all of the podcast media host choices that are out there today. I like Buzzsprout. This is hosted on Libsyn. I like Libsyn. Captivate's great too. I don't know where I'm going to go, where I'm going to land with Cool Cars with Chris. I almost called it Podtastic for a second there. It's going to take some getting used to calling it I almost called it again. Calling it Cool Cars with Chris. I've called it Podtastic Audio for so long. It's going to be weird calling it a brand new name for a brand new show. But I guess the more I do it, the easier it's going to become. But like I said, I got to find a media host for Cool Cars with Chris. I haven't decided that yet. But little by little, piece by piece, I'm putting this thing together. So what I do have right now, I'm going to put down in a link in the show notes below in this episode, a link to probably my YouTube, my Instagram. Those are really the only two things I have built out right now, but I'm working on the rest right now. And with everything else kind of going on right now, I'm kind of building the base before I start recording and filming and doing actual content creation. I'm trying to generate buzz through Instagram, through other places like this place right here, build a buzz so that when episode 1 really does launch with a brand new guest, with their cool car, we can share it, promote it. You guys can enjoy it, watch it, listen to the podcast side of all, and I'll have it ready to go because it's much easier to launch a new show when you already have an audience there waiting for it versus launching a show and trying to build an audience around the new show. Yeah, so that is what I have in store coming up next for me. Now, of course, I'm going through a lot of personal things happening in my life right now. The divorce, the house sale, moving, all that stuff. But this gives me hope. This gives me something excited to really look forward to on the back end of all the stuff I'm going to deal with. Because once all that is done and settled, I'm going to be going full steam ahead, full throttle on Cool Cars with Chris. And I really, really am excited about this one. This is a project, a passion project that I would really have enjoyed making years and years ago. And this is not something that I just stumbled upon. This is not something that I saw was kind of catchy or trending that I want to just jump on the train. This is something I've been incredibly passionate about ever since I started learning how to drive. And in fact, my regular paying job, my day job, is that I'm a driver. I drive for a living. I'm on the roads all the time. I interact with customers all the time at the gas stations. Some have cool cars, some have not so cool cars, but I've seen a lot of cool cars out on the road. And I figured, why not have a place to showcase those cool cars, make some great content, do it in a conversational style, do it like a show like no other, and deliver it to you. That is the idea. That is the concept. That is what I'm working on right now. And I'm very, very excited to get started on this project because this is something I really actually care about. Not saying I don't care about podcasting, but I really, really am passionate about automobiles, driving, motors, things like that, things that we can control. Ever since I drove our little go-kart dune buggy we had out in the desert in Mexico when I was probably like 5 years old, I drove that thing around. I was in love with driving. And that was going way back then. So this is basically a no-brainer for me. It's in my wheelhouse. It's something I'm excited about. And I hope to see you over there. And until next time, happy podcasting.